Rebellious Studio presents the Mind Body Podcast with your host, Maria Angelova. Welcome to the Mind Body Podcast, your rebellious podcast with me, your host, Maria, where it is all about a strong body, calm mind, healing, and fully living. Today, joining us from Arizona is my dear friend, Laura. Laura is the founder of Light Leaders Academy, as well as Get Your Goodest Groove On community and radio show. And as I already said, Laura is a dear friend, and I am so excited you're here with us today, Laura. Thanks for saying yes.
Oh, thank you for having me, Maria. It's a pleasure and an honor, and I know it's going to be a really fun time together. And yeah, I miss you, my dear friend,
I know,
as
Laura, you
well.
right here in Georgia, and I used to see her all the time. Uh,
Yes.
and we still talk, but the distance is a little bit further apart. I met Laura. Actually, I was just thinking about that today. I was like, how did I meet you? And I remember I met you through a networking event, and you were the only person in a room of maybe 30, 40 people that I connected to. And I'm still in touch to this day. So
I know. I remember that so well, that meeting. It was just like meeting a soul part. You're a part of my soul family for sure.
yeah, I love that. Laura, we have a lot of great topics to talk about, but let's start with giving people a chance to get to know who Laura is. So give us three words that tell us who is Laura and a little bit about behind each word.
Okay. I'm very intuitive. And so this was something that I started to turn toward using my own natural born psychic intuitive gifts that I was born with. I started using those to serve others and developing in my own full time coaching practice and oracle practice in 2014, which has been a wonderful journey. And also compassion. Compassion is something that's really important to me. It's always been important to me. I feel as a gentle soul in the world, sometimes the energies can be very harsh here on planet Earth. And so I really have been developing a practice of self compassion over the years and really cultivating that energy of the heart for myself and for others. And I think the other word would to best describe me, Maria, would be a seeker of truth. So finding what you might call the highest truth or just your authentic truth for you, because we all each have our own individual pathways and our own individual preferences and experiences. So really for me, it's all about finding what is the deepest core level of my truth that is very authentic to me, that gives me a pathway forward and actually is part of my inner guidance system.
Yeah, and speaking of intuitive, Laura, and I don't know even if I have shared this with you, but it was a Pilates class that you were attending, and after class, you told me you're a healer. And I was like, I'm a healer. And I was like, okay, that's great. And I didn't really think about it so much. And this was in the very, very beginning of my journey. And as my journey unfolded, that statement started making a lot more sense. But I always think about you when I talk about healing, and when I think about healing practices, I'm always like, yep, Laura somehow knew back then, back in the days, she knew that. So yeah, I do know you have strong intuition. And Laura, I mean, I don't want to use the word stumble, but you got to cross to tuning into your intuition and seeking spirituality and seeking consciousness through, a day on the dark side, so to say. Tell us, share a little bit about your story and kind of like how your journey unfolded, because you were very much like me into the standard world of corporate and going through the motion, and share a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. Would love to. Yeah, I was in corporate healthcare for over 35 years. And, at that time, I was using my intuition in a way of what my forte was helping with processes and finding very streamlined processes, which is a feminine quality. And then I had a really started to awaken in 2001 to a different life path that was coming in. In 2008, I had a really big awakening, if you will. It was sort of like almost like a lightning bolt sort of struck me in a sense very energetically. It just kind of cracked me open. And I started I knew inside of me that it was a new pathway that was opening if I wanted to choose that. And so I did make the choice to start to follow that pathway really of my heart. I would say and to allow my heart to lead me forward into really coming back home to knowing myself at really at or at the core of my own truth, as a soul, as a divine being that's here in a physical body. And so that pathway, excuse me, it led me through some challenges. I did leave my marriage of 30 years. I did leave kind of a dream home and a dream life. However, I knew the entire time that I was being very much guided and supported. And then it led me to eventually beginning to open up my channel, my psychic channel, my energy healing gifts, my oracle gifts, which, I do full time today. Started that journey almost 14 years ago, and I have no regrets. It's only been phenomenal. It's only been life changing in very positive, empowering ways. And I love this work and helping to support others with it.
Laura, tell me if you agree. I think there is a little bit of stereotyping and there is a little bit of reservations when people start hearing about energy, consciousness, spirituality, especially if you haven't been in those circles. Talk a little bit about the importance of energy, because I always talk about good vibes, feeling people's energy, especially if you're an empath, you can really feel people's energy. But for people who are like, I don't know about that, let's talk a little bit from the standpoint of an expert, of somebody who lives in that world day in and day out. Talk about energy and the importance of energy of us as human being, energy that surrounds us, and so forth.
Yeah, great question. So, really, energy, we are living in a sea of energy. And if you study Nikola Tesla, or if you've heard of Nikola Tesla, he said that everything in the universe is comprised of light, sound, and vibration, which essentially is a frequency. And
Mhm.
so, really, everything that we see, frequencies or unseen frequencies, and then there are basically frequencies that are um, alchemicized, I can't say the word, alchemicalized, not a word, into form, into matter. They're transformed into matter. And that's, us having this physical body, but we're still connected to the unseen world, which is what I call source, or all that is, or your higher self, which is a part of us that's really, in my humble opinion, been kind of a part of us that's really been almost shut down or cut off from a lot of us in our kind of modern society. And so, but energy really is just connecting to the earth, Maria. It's just really connecting to that authentic, natural flow of who we are and who we be, and all the beautiful things about our personality, our gifts, what we're here, we feel impassioned to do in life. But to really, energy is quite basic, and everything is made of energy. The rocks, the trees, nature, crystals, all of it is a form of energy manifested into form, into matter. So I very much believe that there are no accidents in life. I do believe very much in synchronicities. I do believe in a higher sort of divine plan, if you will, and that life is always trying to work for us to boost us up into experiencing more of our authentic truth and nature, to experience life in sort of a very natural, flowing way of, living with more joy, for example, living with more meaning, living life fully is really one of my high values. And I'm very passionate about that for myself and for others, that we're able to live the quality of life that we want to live, that we're choosing, that we're creating as conscious, powerful creators, that sometimes we may not always understand that we are working with energy in each and every moment through our thoughts, our words, our actions, our choices, and that it really doesn't have to be so complicated.
I I agree so much with what you said, and I think nowadays more than ever, as at least in my lifetime, we are so in need of needing to return to ourselves. I was having a conversation with a client this morning, and she was sharing some stuff, and she was almost sharing it like a secret. And I said, well, that's why you're a rebel. And we started talking about how there are so many rules and regulations of what you can say, what you cannot say, being politically correct, do this, but you should not do this, that the box is becoming tighter and tighter, and we're becoming so disconnected with being human. I mean, AI and all the advances that we have benefited us in some tremendous way. However, I do think they have disconnected us further from who we are. And all of these rules and regulations, as I call them, they're really dulling down the human in us. And they're taking us away from that state of flow that you're talking about, that state of living, rather than simply existing day by day, same old, no energy, no joy. It's kind of like blah. And I wholeheartedly believe that. What is your thought about the importance? I mean, especially with all of the recent developments, COVID, the increase of mental health concerns and so forth. Let's talk about all of what you talked about, energy in the context of self-care. Like, where does self-care fall into the context of that?
Oh, yes, great question. Yeah, self-care is so important. And I feel like that from a higher perspective, if you will, if we want to just take ourselves like we were looking down into planet Earth and seeing everything that was going on. And I really feel like it's important that we begin to come back to putting ourselves first, not in a selfish way. This is not about being selfish that we've been conditioned or taught that our emotions and feelings are bad or negative or we shouldn't have them, sort of. All of that is just nonsense. In fact, the opposite is true. And the more that you can really put yourself first, meaning that you are recognizing that you as a human, that you have certain needs, right? And that those needs are important for you to be able to meet those needs, and finding a balance with, the self-care that you need, routine that you need to set up for for yourself. And of course, I know you're a big proponent of exercise. That's what you do beautifully. I love exercise. It's important for the body because we're in a physical body. Our body needs movement. Movement is vital and important to shift the energy. We're talking about energy flow. Well, exercise is a wonderful tool to shift energy that we may be feeling we're stuck a little bit, or feeling a little blah, or feeling a little depressed. So, as far as self care, it includes exercise, it includes good food, it includes having pure water, it includes going out into nature. And I'm a big proponent of connecting with nature. And why? Because what you were talking about, nature is 100% organic. Nature is 100% natural, and we're, in my opinion, I believe in the human, the natural human. The origin of the human is natural and organic. We were created by a divine source that is not uh, derived from a synthetic, thing, right? We're not here to be synthetic beings. We're not here to be copycats or of someone else. We're here to be living fully in our passion, be living all out, feeling our body, feeling the feelings, the emotions, the sensations. That gives a richness to our life. That is all the ebb and the flow of life. We're not here to be a robotic. We're here to be individual, like you call your word rebels. Well, this is where my sacred rebel comes in, sister, because my sacred rebel is impassioned about helping you to give yourself permission and to live from your own divine authority. Because I believe authority is divinely given to each of us. I
Yeah.
don't believe that we're here to live under someone else's authority or someone else's rules. How can that even be? No, I am a conscious creator. You are a conscious creator. And we are here to create our best life. We're here to find the joy, the happiness. We're here to elevate each other, with love and light and energy. I
Yeah.
mean, so, I get very passionate about that we are here to be in the image of the individual divine sparks, the individual energy sparks, if you will, that we were created to be. We're unique. There is no another Maria, and I want to have Maria. I want to meet you, Maria, as Maria, not as some other person who's copycatting someone else.
And that is so true, because I talk a lot about authentic connections. And I tell people, I don't want to meet the title of who you are, like what company you founded, all your achievements. Like, that's great. Congratulations. But I want to know the person, the human being behind that, right? What makes you happy? What makes you sad? What makes you excited? Like, I want to get to know you at the human level. Like, what are you happy about? What are you working? Like, I want to know the human in you. And once again, I would say we're getting so disconnected. And even when I speak to people for the first time, people I don't know,
Yeah.
people feel how there is almost that like protective energy. And once people open up and they start sharing authentically things that we all go through, right? We all have that facade of the perfect life and everything is perfect. And it's like, no, this hurts. This doesn't feel good. This is what makes me happy. But there is a mix of emotion that goes, and giving, I think a keyword that you said, Laura, is permission. Giving ourselves
Yes.
permission to also be seen by the world. I think it's becoming a little bit scary to be seen by the world because of the slew of feedbacks you sometimes get of you should not, going back to the shoulds and the musts and all of that. It's
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I get that. I totally can understand that. And, however, that's still not coming from your authentic place. I think coming from our authentic place, and in a sense, I call it the sacred rebel within me, is I am here to break through the molds of anyone trying to put a mold or a box around me or disconnect me or go against even my free will to be a divine creator. I'm going to push back on that. And there are ways that we can find to be authentic and give ourselves permission to shine our light. And we can find ways where, we're not harming or going against other people's free will. I think that's really the key there, Maria, is that if I'm not going into like, I'm not going at this like fighting another person. I don't see the other person as an enemy, for example. I'm not going to go out there into battle against that energy. I'm going to be neutral to that energy, and I'm just going to keep in my own lane, focused on myself, focused on my spiritual journey, what brings me passion, what brings me joy, what brings me love. And then that way, I'm not interfering or harming or getting entangled with someone else's energy by going into resistance or fear. And and I believe that that really is sort of it can be a really fine line to walk. And I believe that's really our biggest calling today, Maria. I believe our biggest calling today for each of us is just to begin to hold up the light, if you will. I love the Statue of Liberty because she's a wonderful example of holding the torchlight of your light and letting your light shine in the most authentic expression that's true for you. And don't let anyone take that away from you. Don't let anyone walk on that. I mean, it is so important. I think that if we all just in our own beautiful way, it doesn't matter what walk of life you come from, or it doesn't matter what you're, being or well, what you're doing in the world. It doesn't matter like your title, right? It's about you bringing forth the divine, authentic, beautiful being that you are to the world. That's it. You could be a housewife, you could be a grandmother. It doesn't matter.
to
You could
apply
be
to
cooking, yeah, you could be baking pies for your grandchildren and singing lullabies and spreading love and light and joy.
yeah.
That is going to impact the world in a very positive way. And that grandmother doesn't have to go out on social media and kind of put herself out in that vulnerable way. She doesn't feel led to do that. Now, some people do, and that's their calling. But that grandmother, believe me, she's bringing an impact, a positive impact to our world because energy attracts like energy. The
Yeah.
frequencies attract like frequencies, right? And we're building a whole new world. I believe we're building a whole new earth that's already here. And people like yourself and me, even though you're in Georgia and I'm in Arizona, it doesn't matter. We're still connecting our
That's
frequency,
the
our
light.
love.
There is that collective energy that's all around.
Exactly.
You don't
Yes.
exist as a standalone. Yeah,
Yes.
well said. Well,
Yeah.
I hope that whoever is listening to, if they can hear one message, that's let your light shine on and don't be afraid to do that. As scary as it may seem, you have full permission. I always tell people, just by the fact that this is beating, that's your permission, that's your loudest speaking permission that your light can shine on in whatever shape or form that is. And like you said, as long as you don't harm another. It made me think, Laura, the old me versus the new me. The old me used to get so defensive when somebody would disagree with me. And now I'm really intentional to say, well, let me get to know that person. Why do they think that way? Why are they responding that way? Why are they reacting this way? And it's amazing how the energy of the conversation and the relationship is so much different when we have that approach instead of, judging, attacking, having that more
Yeah.
energy that we see a lot of nowadays.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. And that's a maturing. I think we're all here to mature ourselves, and to begin to really open up, a beautiful conversation like you're just referring to begin to really be curious even about, well, why is that person so upset? Or let me just, be open to what is going on in their world, because just showing up and with that whole intention, if you will, of just listening, just being, if that's all you do, just let that person speak and just, open a space of love for that person to speak. I think we all would be amazed at how much healing, because we're all healers. We're all healers,
I mean,
whether we know it or not.
I would tell you 100%. My relationships, I feel like, are at a different level, even with people who see very differently, which is totally okay. I think it's so important to also be able to hear other people's opinions, different types of thinkings. We don't all think alike. We have different backgrounds. We have different databasing of processing information. And that's a good thing. That gives us the wealth that we have around different perspective, different views.
Absolutely. It gives us a diversity,
Mhm.
and diversity to me is so rich and so meaningful. And I love diversity. Like, I love to travel. I love to try different foods. I love to go to different cultures. And I love that because I can see, it just brings such a richness to my life. Like you said, it's like life never becomes boring again when we can open our hearts
A
to just
whole different experience.
the whole different experience of, like, you'll never be bored, because you're now, to me, you busted down the box of these limitations, and
I
you're
love that.
giving yourself permission to be authentic, to live your truth, to shine your light, to speak what you need to speak, sing what you need to sing. We need everyone, we need everyone to begin to give themselves permission to ground into this reality, this experience, and to please, please do this, because I want to see you. I want to see the real authentic you. I don't want to see some copycat. I don't want to see some AI machine, blah, 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 telling you the words or solving all the problems. No, we as humans, we have special superpowers. We really, really do. And just like you mentioned, that's one of the superpowers that I don't feel an AI could ever do, because you know why, Maria? Because you opened up your heart and you have a lot of empathy and you have a lot of compassion, that you began to notice, I want to meet this person through the field of compassion, through the field of empathy. Now, AI can't do that.
Yeah, I think, AI, I think honestly, we're going down a dangerous path with technology to where we are totally dehumanizing our experience. And, we are the older generation that still can relate to the old experience, but our kids and the younger generation who are growing up in such an environment, it's really interesting to watch and to see what the long-term implications will be. Because again, I think that's dehumanizing everything that's happening around us, on top of, again, all the rules and regulations that we already have, that have created boxes.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And I think it's so important that finding ways to help our younger generations to not to connect with the earth, to connect with Mother Earth. We are meant to connect with Mother Earth. She is part of our support system. And one of the things you can do for your children that would be a way to do that is this summer, let them run around barefooted. Take off the rubber shoes, take off the shoes that keep us disconnected from Mother Earth, because Mother Earth opens up our circuit of flow. When we have the rubber shoes on, we're becoming a closed circuit and we're not really balanced anymore. We're not really feeling the connection to Mother Earth that we all need. And I go out every day in my beautiful backyard for 20 minutes. I take off my shoes and I walk in the grass and I put my feet to the earth. And it is so wonderful and it is so healing. It will even help to heal your physical body. It will help your monkey mind to calm down. This is to me a self care practice that I do every day, Maria. It's so important to me. And let your kids run around barefoot. Let them put their hands in the mud. Let them grow plants. Let them grow flowers. And believe me, that will help your child to stay imbalanced and not get sucked into this false illusionary AI world that they want to try to capture your energy, capture your essence, and basically enslave you to.
It's so funny. Yesterday, I was talking to a client about grounding. We were talking about grounding. And I just have to throw in that I'm 100% behind what you say. Is don't do that if the grass is heavily sprayed with chemicals and stuff that's harmful to you, because everything that's on that grass is going to go through the feet into the body. So that's just a word of conscience. If you're heavily like saturating your lawn with chemicals and
Mm.
stuff like that, just be mindful of that. Yeah, because
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can take a blanket and go for a picnic with your family, and go near some water or put a blanket down. You can still take your shoes and socks off, but you don't have to be directly on the grass because, yeah, that's a good point. But just spending time with family, I think, and, the family structure sure has been so basically shut down, dissolved. I mean, there's been so much conditioning and attack on it
yeah.
and it just makes my heart really sad, Maria. And, even though, I mean, my daughter is grown, but she has a beautiful job supporting 3 children. And she's, having a very positive impact on those children, helping them to connect to the earth every day, teaching them how to work with their emotions every day, teach them how to love themselves and to begin to love themselves at very young ages. So they don't have to go through what you and I went through to do all this kind of inner work.
It's so important. That's, in the mindset session this week, I was telling people that we were talking about discomfort and, risks that we take and so forth. And like, if you make a move such as the one that I did, is it selfish for the family? And I said, it might feel selfish in the moment, but long term, for my family, for my daughter, this is the best thing I have done, because what I can give her now, I had no capacity or knowledge of before. So now I can teach her stuff that unfortunately we're not taught in school. So those
Yes,
basic things. Yeah.
absolutely. And it's so beautiful what you're saying because I think, for my own ancestry, and maybe other people can relate to this, there was so much loss of wisdom and knowledge being passed down, especially down both of my mother and my father's mother's lineage, the mother's lineage, down from the great grandmothers to the grandmothers who, we would pass down this ancient wisdom knowledge to our daughters and our granddaughters, these, very important ways of being, connecting to nature, taking care of ourselves, nurturing ourselves. But in the ancestral lines, because of loss, because of disruptions and chaos and the rules and the conditionings and the trying to force authority and control manipulation on us, this has really weighed heavily on us and our ancestors. So I
Yeah.
really believe in this time the opportunity is give yourself permission to know that you will be totally supported by the universe. So you can break through. You can be the one to bring so much light and love to your ancestry, like you're doing for yours, Maria, for your daughter, your mother, and your ancestry. Now is the time of the return of the divine feminine. The divine mother is here. She is powerful, she's passionate, and she's here to help bring all her children back into love and balance. Let's do it.
Let's do it. And on that note, Laura, tell people, where can people find you? Where can they follow your journey, get more information about all, you do so many things, maybe check into your show. What's the best place to find you?
Yeah, the best place to find out more about me and my offerings and my work is just to go to my website, which is simply just Laura, Laura, Hosford, HOSFORD.com. So laurahosford.com, that's my website. And from there, you can find different offerings, my radio show, my free online community, my courses, my classes. And also you can, if you feel like you want to sign up and learn more, then you will also receive a beautiful meditation and gift.
Yeah, Laura, you do a lot of things. I can attest to that. You send a lot of information, food for thought, and so forth. So, Laura, I thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your light and your wisdom with our listeners. I do hope you all enjoy this. Certainly let us know if you have any questions. And remember to stay rebellious. We'll see you next time. Can't get enough of those rebellious conversations? Do make sure you subscribe, like, and share.